All right, we are live for the midweek edition of the Morning Check-In. And as always, looking forward to connect and share my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. And it looks like, as expected, more distractions and diversion tactics. So definitely headlines. A lot of things in the headlines right now. We got a supposed trade deal agreement with Japan. We have the Obama files being given to us when the people really wanted the Epstein files, and just it's a never ending saga of just things to really keep us entertained. So the question is, are you entertained? Anyway, good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. It's going to be a good live stream, to say the least. We're going to get into a couple of things here. Primarily, the focus will be on the Obama files and all the things that could come from that. And of course, I have a very unique opinion based upon previous things that I've shared in reference to what to expect in the midst of a global monetary restructuring. And so I'm going to share my thoughts on that as well as everything else. But before we move forward, for those who might be new, you never know, I want to make sure I welcome you and acknowledge you. So feel free to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, plug in, put the check mark wherever you're watching from so that you'll be notified or get a update when we go live, or I'll put videos forth. And then also for those who have thoughts, ideas, suggestions, there's dozens, if not hundreds of things worth talking about. But in the midst of this show here, we can only get to so much. So feel free to leave thoughts, ideas, and suggestions in the chat, and we will definitely do our best to get to them eventually. And so the biggest thing is just keep everybody plugged in and to give an alternative perspective on this, these mainstream headlines, just because everything is being done intentionally. Nothing is accidental at this moment of the game. And so you have to stay on tune. You got to stay sharp on top of things. So I approach things with more of a skeptical viewpoint, just because I know what's at stake. And there's so much at stake because we're witnessing the greatest monetary restructuring ever done. And it's a global phenomenon, not just an isolated thing here in the US. This is everywhere. And so everything to me appears to be on track when you zoom out and look at things from a more macro lens standpoint. Because underneath all the distractions is the rebranding and the restructuring of the monetary system. And I got some things to point to that as well. So, anyway, let's get into some good news, market activity, resources, headlines. You know how we do it. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Here we have the good news of the day. So the goal is to charge you up spiritually, get you started on the right foot, focus on what matters most, which of course comes from the Word of God itself, because the most important relationship you have or should have is that with your Creator, Elohim, Yeshua, whatever you want to label him as pertaining to your need. He provides. Okay, so this is called making room. And this is something I just reached deep and pulled this out because this is what I needed for myself this morning. So hopefully it charges you up as well. Okay, let's get right into it. It says here, a man's gift maketh room for him and bringeth him before great men. Proverbs 18:16. It says, have you ever felt overlooked, like your gift doesn't matter? Proverbs 18:16 says, your gift makes room for you, not people, not connections, not titles. Your God-given gift is your divine passport. It says, look at Jesus. He was born in a manger, raised in obscurity, worked as a carpenter, no titles, no platform, but his gift. The word made flesh, designed to come here as an offering for mankind's fallen nature. Couldn't be hidden. When he opened his mouth in the synagogue in Luke 4, declaring, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, the entire room shifted and the world changed. He wasn't trying to fit in. He came to bring what was lost, and that was kingdom, the divine presence of God himself on earth and currently here now in spirit form inside of you if you're a believer. It says his gift brought him before governors, high priests, and kings, not for promotion, but for purpose. And if you're walking in the Spirit, your gift will do the same. Don't chase stages. Cultivate the kingdom inside you. Your gift is the key to your assignment. Closing prayer is, Father, make room for the gift you placed in me so I can reveal your kingdom to the world. In the name of Yeshua, amen. And I hope that word there resonated a little bit. If it did, feel free to throw out an amen in the chat, in the comment section, wherever you're watching at. Definitely want to make sure this is touching the right people in the right place at the right time. Okay, so we have lots of interesting things here. So I want to get into just some things that caught my attention, as always, because everything is centered around the monetary restructuring of our system. You cannot not talk about gold and silver. And so as of right now, especially this past couple days, we have silver telling an interesting story, $39.33 as we speak. And we, meaning the entire stacker community, those who understand the importance of sound money, they're waiting on that next move, which is $40. And once 40 becomes the floor, the sky's the limit. And then, of course, we got gold above my head at $3,400. It has already surpassed any previous expectations of serving its purpose, which is to protect and preserve everything that you've worked hard for if you got in earlier. But then again, as far as the ceiling for this particular metal here, there is no ceiling because there's no floor for this instrument right here. Okay, so that's just something to be aware of, and it doesn't stop there. So let me just get into some other things here. Oh, we're going to go right into what I want to just preface everything in reference to the headline news, especially when it comes to Obama files, because this is ultimately going to be the primary subject matter for quite some time, because it's deliberate and it's intentional. And so I shared my 2 cents last week. As soon as the MAGA movement took place and everybody was talking about the desire for the release of the files, and it's obvious because the Epstein files could topple governments, because every person of elite status more than likely has something to do with those activities that took place. So we're not going to get that. Don't ever expect that, because it's just not going to happen. But as I said last week in this video here, the secret list that could shake the world to its core, I, at the very middle to end, gave my thoughts as to what to expect. And by golly, here we are today. And so at the end of this video, in this video here, I talked about how don't expect the files to be released. Expect some nuggets or some low-hanging fruit from inside of the files to be given. More so as like a sacrificial lamb to divert and to distract you, so that the Epstein list, which is the client list of everyone that participated with financial records and everything else, the flight log, all that other stuff, and video footage and all the blackmailing stuff, will not surface, but you'll get some names. And what name did they decide to want to throw out there as a primary headline subject matter? Barack Obama. The first melanated president, the first person who shook the world with his great rhetoric and everything else that took place over a decade ago. And here we are now, him being called out for the things that he, I'd assume, participated in. I can't say he's guilty without due process. But in the alternative media space, we, meaning others like myself, do a great job digging beneath the surfaces. And it's hard to believe that any of these individuals are innocent in reference to the things that they are a part of. And so Obama is just one of every single president, in my opinion, that were a part of things and know things that, if they were to be exposed, could be treasonous as well. So I'm not going to sit up here and just, bash Obama as if like, he's the first and the last. No, every president is in on it, because you can't get to that position unless you more than likely, compromise yourself. And I'll leave it at that. Okay. So where do we want to go from here? Let's go from here. So I have lots of things to touch on. And so we have, the more, less interesting news to me is stuff like this. This is just stuff like, really, doesn't move the needle for me as far as, pure edutainment. Trump tariff live updates. Trump strikes deal with Japan, but EU digs in with other $100 billion counterattack. Okay, riff-raff, back and forth. Everything is just, something to keep your attention. It's not really going to move the needle. If the Trump tariffs succeed or not, the dollar is not going to ever regain purchasing power. So ultimately, the holders of the currency lose out anyway. So it's like, what really can we expect? Can your average consumer, the user of the Federal Reserve note, actually expect? So we got Anthony Besson out here bashing the Fed. We got people calling the, look at the Fed. I mean, stuff that we've been hearing about for so long, which will never take place. I mean, it's just at some point we got to learn to look through all the mainstream headlines of things they want us to focus on and just get to the nitty gritty of what really matters. And ultimately, it comes down to you waking up to what's happening. Don't put your hope in no man. Do everything you can to protect and preserve everything you work hard for. And then, of course, as I started this live stream off talking about your assignment, figuring out your assignment, your contribution to the bigger picture for humanity, which, of course, is human souls. Your act in helping the Messiah save souls. Because at the end of the day, as I always reference, got to just bring this up here, this instrument on the screen here cannot appreciate in value because it is a debt instrument between two entities designed to trap us in the middle, which is it has done. And so people, especially Anthony Besson, I'm a little bit everywhere right now, but these are things that just come to mind. Anthony Besson, let me pull this up here. He yesterday went on a tangent, just bashing Jerome Powell and the Fed and talk about investigating the Federal Reserve. Why now? That's the question. Why now? Why is there such a push to just make it look like Jerome Powell's fault for everything that the mankind is experiencing? And the question is because they need distractions. They need things to divert people's attention. And so when you see headlines like this, let me just bring this on the screen. This is just stuff to let you know that, they would rather you focus on things that, I guess, more so point the blame towards a single source rather than actually the system itself being exposed for what it is. We're not here by design. We're not here by accident. We're here by design. Everything has been structured this way, and it's been getting progressively worse, and we're not even nowhere near the ninth inning. You know what I'm saying? This is just the beginning phases if you know how things unwind as we get closer to what is referred to as end times. Some say now, I say we still got time because there's still checkpoints to get to where we got to go. So, okay. So let me try to stay on topic today. Okay, I'll try to stay on topic. Okay, so primary subject matter. Let's just jump right into it. So here we got Tulsi Gabbard. This is fresh off the press. You may or may not have seen this because it just dropped recently. And so here we got Tulsi Gabbard's X account. And once again, this is the second batch of specific information in reference to Barack Obama's involvement in what they call Russiagate. And they call this ObamaGate. And they call this all types of things. But once again, what will come from it, I can just tell you up front to save you the time. They will use Obama as a diversion tactic to highlight all the sinister acts that took place during his administration. They'll link no other conspirators with him other than Hillary Crooked Clinton, which is we everybody knows that, and then Biden to be brought in. So those are the three primary people who are going to get front and center attention, and they're going to bring up evidence showing how corrupt and crooked they are. And then if it gets to the judges, if it gets to the court to try to prove treason or whatever, it'll be drawn out so long that most of us, the Lord may come back before then. You know what I'm saying? Type of thing. So don't expect to see anybody in handcuffs walking out the building, and don't expect no tribunals. Don't expect no, acts of treason and all that other stuff. Believe me, because those three people, if they were even partially threatened and felt threatened, they gonna rat, they gonna snitch. And in ratting and snitching, it means they're going to end up pointing towards everybody within the Epstein files, and everything goes back. Everything is interconnected. So not one single person can take the fall without somebody else being brought in, because they all are in on this. So that's why I know not to expect anything substantial other than some interesting headlines and some watered down versions of truth. That's just me. Somebody let me know if I'm wrong. Because if you just look at how we've arrived to this point, the system is so entrenched in corruption and criminality, the entire system has been captured. There's not a single judge, federal agency, law enforcement agency that's bigger than the system. So if anybody gets out of line, we know what happens. And that's the part where it's not to be a Debbie Downer, but it's just like, just look at how we got here. Like, come on now. Anybody who speaks truth, yeah. Okay. So let's just thumb through this and try to make sense of it. Let's just thumb through this and make sense of it. So this is fresh off the press. So you haven't seen this unless you follow Tulsi Gabbard. And I happened to come across this because it was trending. But it says, here we go. I'm going to read through it. Just, give you something to chew on. It says new evidence. Oh, really? New evidence? These people got files on everybody. Everybody in politics got a file. Tulsi Gabbard got a file. Get out of line, it'll surface. It says new evidence has emerged of the most egregious weaponization of the politicization of intelligence in American history per Donald Trump's directive. Per Donald Trump's directive. Okay. And so just that right there just, rings some bells. Per Donald Trump's directive. Why would Donald Trump, other than let me share something else with you that's funny. This is something that's funny as well. Why would Donald Trump want to direct people's attention in this direction? Oh, could it have anything to do with the White House coming out saying that, this came from the White House? I mean, this stuff here, this is public relations at its best. It says the White House just came out 2 days ago. It says they came after the wrong man. So now it's get back time. And it's, of course, the left going to say, oh, he's using his position of power to revenge on whatever. But when you get stuff like this, marketing material that says, I was the hunted, now I'm the hunter. And so literally, this is all in response to the MAGA crowd wanting Epstein files. And this is the part where people may not consider. We wouldn't even be here right now talking about this particular subject matter had it not been for the MAGA crowd and his fan base becoming a little bit aggravated, progressively aggravated, because of the things that they didn't vote for. They didn't vote for majority of the things that he's doing or haven't done, because nothing is really disruptive other than him intentionally, trade, tariff wars. I mean, that's the most disruptive thing that I've witnessed that could really impact things. But then again, it's small things. He ran on the deep state, the swamp establishment, and all that stuff. But once again, this dude gives us what he wants to give us, not what the people wants. The Epstein files. So, because there was so much pressure on him last week, he had to divert attention off some things. And so when Tulsi Gabbard mentioned, under president's leadership, he has authorized and has delegated us to go in this direction. It's like, okay, he needs to cool some heat off of him, because he can't open that file, the real file, and expose what's in there, because it topples governments. And so they give us something to just keep us at bay, to pacify you, some low-hanging fruit. Because Obama, president, that is big, but it's small given the systemic nature of evil that's been going on for decades and centuries. You got families, you got bloodlines, all within those files, But then again, okay, so I thought this was just entertaining. So here, this is why Tulsi Gabbard decided to open his files up. Trump's under pressure, so he had to give people something to pacify him. And of course, will it work? I hope it doesn't work. I hope the MAGA crowd continues to press for Epstein files. But then again, they'll just go to phase 2, which is, more of the same. Okay, but it says here, I have declassified a House Intel Oversight Majority Staff report that exposes that how the Obama administration manufactured the January 17th intelligence community assessment that they knew was false, promoting the lie that Vladimir Putin and Russian government helped Trump and win the 2016 election. So here we are. She's opening some files from dang near a decade ago, of which every alternative media person knew was a lie, but it was just something to keep the majority at bay. Because mind you, as I always say, the average person, 99.99% of the people, I don't like to say this, are sheeple, meaning that they believe the mainstream news. And so it wasn't hard to say Russia, 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 just because it fits the grain. Trump is an outspoken individual that is not political in nature, so it just fit the narrative. And so here we are now, 10 years later, open up a file that I don't really care about. You know what file the people really want to see. And it's stuff like this that they're going to try to dig deeper now about stuff that the people really shouldn't be too pressed about. Because as I mentioned, don't expect justice. You can't expect justice in a crooked world where everything has been captured. But you'll get some type of entertainment. This is what this is going to boil down to. And so here we got a little visual aid. Let's look at this visual aid here. And so these are some top-notch graphics. You got a nice marketing team. You got the world's best marketers and PR, public relations people putting this stuff together, people. Hope you're entertained by this. It said the creation of the Russian hoax, real intel assessment. Okay. And then you got Obama in the middle with his staff around him, and these guys are real. These guys, these are the epitome of the deep state. Oh yeah. Okay. And then you got all these quotes and backtracks to all these people. Man, if you're in politics, son, something's wrong. Because you, as I mentioned before, compromise. And so that's just this. I'm not even going to read anymore because it's like really not that entertaining, to say the least. But what I will show you is the next thing that caught my attention out of the White House. And this is at some point, like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And so from the White House again, we get this. Let me zoom in here. It says here, let me zoom in. So from the White House, congratulations. You've unlocked the deep state Russia starter pack. Think about this. This is official release from the White House. They call this the deep state Russia starter pack. And so once again, there's those two words, deep state. Who, what is the deep state? Those are the same individuals that are within the Epstein files. And so you're not giving us anything other than just political rhetoric to capture headlines, to be talked about, but it's no substance, son. This graphic is not substance. I don't feel like I'm closer to truth because you chose to release low-hanging fruit within the Epstein files. And then you put Hillary on here too. So, once you bring them to justice, the system is going to go back. But just think about this. This is an actual graphic from the White House. And this looked like a $2 cheap. They just, look at this. You got 3 people on here associated with the deep state. Well, once again, the deep state, swamp, establishment, all those acronyms, they're just labels for principalities and powers and forces that go way beyond these 3 people. These are just puppets, people. And granted, it's good. It would be good to see some justice done with these puppets being brought to justice as far as all the criminal activity, especially Hillary and Joe. They've been doing it for 20, 30 years, if not longer. Obama, 10, 15, he's a junior senator. I mean, he just happened to be chosen to be part of this whole reset because of, what I'm saying, he sound good and he was convincing for the people who had these types of suits on. But people see through that. And so it's like, once again, this graphic here says absolutely nothing. It just looks like it's something that's breaking from the White House. And this is the level of respect we're supposed to give these people in the White House, as if we're supposed to really think this is serious. Look at this. Look at this. This is the type of work I do. What I'm saying? Like, I'm not a certified licensed, marketer, digital marketer. I'm just a person with an opinion who like to learn and do graphics. Anyway, I'm going to get beyond myself. Okay, but this stuff is just, it's just so too much sometimes. Okay, but here we are. Okay, so you got stories coming out. Like, let me just share some headlines with you. Then we get into some other things. I want to switch it up a little bit. I want to just talk about this. But we got this is from Zero Hedge. Tulsi is about to drop more evidence against Barack Obama. And then it goes on talk about some files, some quotes, and yeah, okay. And then you got some announcements here. Just you got stuff that should do what it was meant to do for the 99.99% of people who I would qualify as sheeple. They believe mainstream propaganda and they run with it. And then Titan says, do your research. Obama's family has been CIA for years. He is guilty as the others. Titan, 100%. I'm just saying, what are you expecting? What should the people expect with this revelation that's been given to us? And the deception and what I would conceive naivety is that people will probably use this and it'll probably boost Trump's ratings again, diverting the fact that people really need and want the Epstein files. As I mentioned, everybody within that circle got dirt on them. So CIA, NIA, BBB, all that stuff has been captured. So I just find it hard to just jump on board like, oh, the people say, oh, we're winning. Oh, they got the deep state running. Okay. You get my drift. I'm saying? Not trying to make light of it, but at some point people got to realize they're being fooled. They're being duped. We're being duped, people. And there's nobody in a suit from DC coming to save you. There will be no justice. There'll be no equality. There'll be none of that in this life under this current system. It's not possible. It's not. It's just if people start with that first and then build on top of that, then you realize that literally at some point it's not about what they give us information wise. It's about what we, you, I do that has greater meaning. And that's where, as I started off talking about, your gift makes room for you, your assignment, tapping into more of what you're uniquely created for and how you're serving others for the greater good of humanity for eternity's sake. Okay. Let's get to some other things. Here's something that I thought was interesting. And another, it was just, I got to talk about this because this is from Brian. I don't know who he is, but it's just interesting. This came out and let me see who Brian is. Brian has 926,000 followers, AI, technology, crypto. He's so obviously if that many people follow him, people find him to be somewhat credible or informative. And so he put a video breaking. Holy crap. It says here, CNN just released exclusive new video of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein hanging out in 1999 Victoria's Secret's fashion show, as well as images of Epstein at Trump's second wedding. No wonder why Trump is trying to deflect with Obama claims. And then it shows a video here of, so it just shows a video here, no audio really, but here's the thing. What's the saying? Feathers are the same flock together. The cliche feathers, same feathers are flock together. You guys know. But once again, you can't roll with or be in the presence of or in the company of someone for years. There's footage of him and Epstein decades, like going back. And you not know what homie does for work or what his primary source of income is. And so it's like stuff like that would make him look even more guilty. Then you got the new distractions with Obama files. It'd be hard for people not to believe that this guy is not in on it. And then I saw something else. Let me see if I can find it. It had to do with, let me see if I can find it. It had to do with some, where'd it go? It had to do with some, like, following the money trail. It was something about the money trail of if you really wanted to know what was going on, is just simply follow the money. And the money reveals all. And so that is something, man, I can't find it. I thought I did. But on another note, someone who I do have a much greater level of respect is someone by the name of Thomas Massie. And so for those who don't know, Thomas Massie has been literally landing on the line. And I put out a little comment the other day in the Telegram saying that birds of a feather flock together. Titan, good luck. Oh, man. In the midst of when thoughts come, sometimes they be a little butchered, but you get me. But Thomas Massie is a man who I have much greater respect for because at least it appears that he's trying to get to the bottom of some things. And so here you got Thomas Massie the other day. He was standing in front of, I think it was the Capitol building or something like that, holding a file with Phase 2 on it, referring to he wanting to get to the bottom of the files and get them into the public's hands. So it says here, if the executive branch won't release Phase 2 of the Epstein Files, we will. Americans deserve transparency and victims deserve justice. So here you see him here with a Epstein File Phase 2, HRES.581 is the legislation he's trying to get passed or looked at. But of course, they decided to go on vacation before they could actually get to any type of hearing, because nobody wants the truth to be revealed other than what they decide to spoon feed the masses as far as the low-hanging fruit. So Thomas Massie, you know what I'm saying, more props to you, man. And I mentioned like this might be the last hill he stands on, because if he keeps pressing to give more than what the people behind the curtain, want revealed, you know, like always, you know, he's already been through a lot, if you know what I mean. And so, you know, God bless him. I was mentioning, like, you know, the need to be prayerful for this man here, because, you know, he's trying to do some things that not many will probably be willing to do, because a lot, you know, he putting a lot on the line, put it like that. So that's that. Okay, so let's get to some other stories and let you know how the reset is continuing on. The restructuring monetary system continues. And so here we got Goldman Sachs and BNY joins forces to transform 7.1 trillion money market industry with digital tokens. And so you got GSIBs, globally systemic important banks, doing what they do best, while everybody's being told to look over here. They are quietly utilizing the same technology that is created for this purpose, digital ledger technology, to further rebrand and restructure the monetary system. And as always, if you don't run the code, you don't control the outcome. And so these people here are just doing what they do best. I can't even fault them, because this is what a reset looks like. It's a rebranding, restructuring. And it's unfortunate that the same people who ran the old system to the ground, they're the same ones funding the development of the new system. And so you got people who are what used to be shareholders back in the day, when you would buy shares in companies and you would ride the waves of volatility. If it crashes, you buy more and you get richer. Now we have stakeholders, where you have people funding things outright through digitization and buying shares of ledgers, i.e. Ripple and things like that. So people are like, oh man, my bag. Oh, you know, and people who are excited about the reset, they own shares of a network, of a ledger that is centrally controlled by people who can whitelist and blacklist your wallets and or freeze you out of your accounts. And people don't think that that's going to be a problem. Okay, but anyway, Goldman Sachs and Bank of New York, New Mellon have created the ability for institutional investors to purchase tokenized money market funds. It says the world's largest bank will be able to invest in money market funds whose ownership will be recorded on Goldman's blockchain platform. The project has already signed up fund titans, including BlackRock, Fidelity, Federated Hermes, as well as asset managers, Gold, whatever. So here we are, just, you know, more advancement of the system that was supposed to be disruptive and everything else. And then here's a little something else that people may not have known about, and I came across it myself. But here we have, this is a little shout out to all my XRP people. Here we have a article that came out a couple weeks ago, but very timely. It says XRP Army uncovers Ripple hidden road link to 11 trillion U.S. Treasury clearing network. So ultimately, Ripple Labs decided to purchase a company that partnered with DTCC, who oversees 2 quadrillion of real world assets through paper contracts and things of that nature. And so it says specifically revealed that the Hidden Road Joint Government Securities Division, GSD, of the Fixed Income Clearing Corporation, part of the DTCC as member in March 2025, just a week before Ripple officially announced the acquisition. And so Ripple has direct access to the DTCC, which is, you know, a part of the system that doesn't really get discussed much, because they own everything that you think you own, if it's not physically in your possession. GSD's recent performance highlights the significance of this membership. Notably, it hit a record of 9.2 trillion in daily volume on September 24, surpassing the previous 8.8 trillion. So between all the blockchain development and all the companies that's being positioned for the restructuring, when things come crashing down, guess who's going to be hitting the switch and cutting it on for themselves? And for those who don't own things that you can actually maintain in your possession somewhat or have access to it, that's in the physical realm, that has chemical properties to them, you stand to the counterparty risk. There's a lot of counterparty risk solely in digitalization of our economy, because if you don't write the code or control the code, even if it's in your wallet can be targeted, because it's all public ledger on the public information on the ledger. Individual wallets can be targeted, and the miners, especially for the proof of work coins, can literally be forced by the government to come together and whitelist your wallet, meaning that you have difficulty getting on and off, and or your coins being tainted to where if you don't go through the recommended gateways to sell or to lend or whatever you're trying to do with it, they can be flagged and you can be, in trouble. So that's more the clarity I believe will come when we get through this restructuring. But once again, I'm just a market / headline analyst that try to tell people to look at things from a bigger viewpoint rather than what you would want to happen. So anyway, but that's just me. Okay, people, as always, for those who instead of watching it would be better if you watch our video. I don't know who you are. Okay, so as always, for those who might be coming in and never know, I want to give you some some possibilities. As always, information is in the description, but 24 karat gold can never do you wrong. It will go up as this go down. And of course, it's this small. It's just a micro mini bar. Links in the description if you guys want to participate in protecting yourself in that capacity. And then next, platinum. Ain't even started to move, even though it is moving. So 1 gram of platinum is cheaper today than it will be next year. You can bet that. So if you guys want to get what I have found to be the most affordable, 1 gram platinum, links in the description. Other than that, people, you know what time it is. Love, live, laugh, learn. Enjoy life. Stay prayed up and help other people. Be blessed. Shalom.